centuries before London grew into a powerhouse of stone walls, royal courts, and crowded streets. Before Shakespeare ever wrote a single line. And long before the first European explorer set foot on the continent. A massive city rose in the heart of North America, complete with monumental architecture, complex urban planning, and a population bigger than medieval London. Yet today, most people have never even heard its name. This is the story of Cahokia, the ancient American metropolis that rewrites everything we think we know about the pre-Columbian world. Picture the modern skyline of St. Louis, Missouri. Cars humming over highways. Steel arch gleaming. The Mississippi River flowing like a silver ribbon beside the city. Now, erase all of that in your mind. Replace it with endless forests, rich floodplains, and the towering shadow of earthen pyramids, some almost 10 stories tall. Welcome to Cahokia, around 1050 CE. At its peak, this was not a small village, not a tribe, not a settlement. It was the largest city north of Mexico and the beating heart of a massive cultural network known as the Mississippian civilization. The people? They weren't Maya. They weren't Aztec. They weren't Inca. They were indigenous North Americans, farmers, astronomers, engineers, traders, whose true names have been lost to time. Archaeologists simply call them the Cahokians, after the nearby later tribe that lived in the region. Their city stretched across 6 square miles, containing as many as 20,000 to 30,000 people, at a time when London had only about 18,000, and in the center of it all stood a monumental structure. Monk's Mound, the largest man-made earthen pyramid in the Americas, larger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. This was not a small accomplishment. Imagine the manpower. Imagine the organization. Imagine the ambition. To understand Cahokia's rise, we have to travel back to a time of enormous change. Around 1000 CE, climate conditions across North America shifted into what historians call the medieval warm period. Warmer temperatures meant longer growing seasons, and for farming societies, longer growing seasons meant opportunity. Corn agriculture, imported centuries earlier from Mesoamerica, exploded across the Mississippi River Valley. Suddenly, communities that once relied on hunting and gathering could produce huge surpluses of food. And what does surplus create? Population, specialization, leadership, ambition. Cahokia, sitting at the crossroads of the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois rivers, became the perfect place for a cultural and economic boom. River trade brought in shells from the Gulf Coast, copper from the Great Lakes, obsidian from the Rocky Mountains, even mica from the Appalachian region. This wasn't a village exchanging trinkets. This was a continental marketplace, a hub that connected thousands of miles of trade routes. Then, something dramatic happened. Around 1050, Cahokia experienced what archaeologists call a Big Bang. Population surged almost overnight. New districts were laid out with geometric precision. Dozens of monumental mounds were constructed in a short period of time. This was a coordinated, city-wide transformation. Like a medieval version of Manhattan appearing almost instantly. But what triggered it? Some believe a charismatic leader unified the region. Others think religious ideology evolved into a new and powerful form. Whatever the cause, Cahokia transformed from a regional town into a supercity, the largest North America would see until the 1800s. Let's walk through Cahokia during its golden age. The city was divided into plazas, ceremonial complexes, neighborhoods, and industrial districts. It had a clear layout, showing urban planning more advanced than many European cities at the same time. Massive monuments. At the center stood Monk's Mound, rising over 100 feet high, built from 22 million cubic feet of earth carried basket by basket. Built by hand. No wheels. No metal tools. Just sheer human determination. On top of this colossal pyramid, a giant wooden building, likely the residence or temple of Cahokia's most powerful leader, a figure some archaeologists call the Great Sun. A city of ceremony. Cahokia wasn't just an economic hub, it was a spiritual one. Woodhenge, a massive ring of wooden posts, served as an astronomical calendar, marking solstices and equinoxes with incredible accuracy. Imagine thousands gathering, watching the sun rise perfectly aligned with sacred posts, proof that their leaders commanded not only the land, but the cosmos. A city of trash and innovation. Archaeologists found thick layers of refuse, broken pottery, food scraps, tools. To most people, it's trash. But to historians, it's a gold mine, evidence of mass production, massive feasts, and the daily life of a bustling metropolis. A city of diversity. People migrated to Cahokia from across the continent. Chemical analysis of buried individuals shows many were born hundreds of miles away. Cahokia was America's first melting pot. A city bigger than London. By 1100 CE, Cahokia had perhaps 25,000 people. More than medieval Paris, more than Rome, and far more than London. Imagine Europeans arriving centuries later and thinking North America was empty, unaware that 1,000 years earlier, a city here rivaled the great capitals of the world. For nearly 150 years, Cahokia thrived, growing, innovating, and shining as a beacon of ancient North America. But no great city rises without shadows. And Cahokia's shadows were long and unsettling. Cahokia's population boom created opportunity, but also instability. Tens of thousands of people meant more food, more resources, more land, more labor. And when a city grows this fast, something cracks. Evidence begins appearing in the archaeological record. Mass graves with signs of ritual sacrifice. Fortified palisades. Massive wooden walls surrounding parts of the city. Sudden shifts in building patterns, suggesting political upheaval. Burned structures, as if parts of the city were intentionally destroyed. This wasn't a peaceful golden age quietly passing by. Cahokia was powerful, yes, but power invites conflict. Some believe factions within the city fought for control. Others think too many migrants created cultural clashes. There are even theories of intense religious movements sweeping through the city, demanding monuments, rituals, and sacrifices at a scale never before seen in North America. Meanwhile, nature itself began tightening its grip. Large-scale farming strained the land. Massive floods from the Mississippi periodically swamped the region. Dense populations meant forests were cut down quickly for housing and fuel. Charcoal layers in the soil show extreme deforestation, which would have led to heavier erosion, poor crop yields, unstable building foundations. The signs point to one thing. Cahokia was starting to push its environment harder than the environment could handle. Then a strange thing happened around the year 1200 CE. Construction slowed. Major ceremonies declined. Population growth stopped, and may even have reversed. It's like someone hit the pause button on an entire civilization. Why? This is where the mystery deepens. Was there a political revolution? A shift in religious leadership? A devastating natural disaster that shattered public confidence? Archaeologists don't know. But whatever happened, it changed Cahokia forever. And the city that once rivaled the greatest capitals of medieval Europe began to slip, quietly, toward collapse. Imagine waking up one morning in Cahokia around 1350 CE. The mounds, once buzzing with people, are quiet. The plazas echo with emptiness. Neighborhoods that once held thousands now sit abandoned. This was not a sudden fall like Rome being sacked. Cahokia unraveled slowly, like a thread coming loose from the fabric of a great tapestry. Theory number 1. Climate change. After centuries of warmth, the climate shifted. The Little Ice Age began creeping across North America. Growing seasons shortened. Crops failed more often. Food security, one of the pillars of Cahokia's power, crumbled. A city this large couldn't survive repeated agricultural failures. Theory number 2. Social breakdown. Archaeologists found signs of internal violence, broken bones, fortified walls, entire neighborhoods burned. If political or religious leaders lost legitimacy, the social fabric may have torn apart. A city built on unity and centralized power can collapse fast when people stop believing in that power. Theory number 3. Disease. Some speculate diseases, possibly spread through long-distance trade networks, might have ravaged the population. While evidence is thin, a pandemic could explain the gradual but consistent decline. Theory number 4. Migration. The most widely accepted explanation is simple. People left. Slowly, steadily, in families and in groups. Cahokians migrated away, scattering into smaller communities across the Midwest and Southeast. The forests returned. The river reclaimed old channels. The mound stood alone, grass growing where temples and houses once rose to the sky. By the time Europeans explored the Mississippi River in the 1600s, Cahokia had been abandoned for centuries. To them, the mounds were simply mysteries, massive, silent, ancient. They had no idea they were looking at the ruins of a city once bigger than London. Even though Cahokia vanished, its fingerprints are still everywhere. Cultural legacy. Many Native American nations, like the Osage, Quapaw, and Natchez, carry oral traditions echoing the Mississippian culture. Their stories of sky beings, sacred mounds, and powerful sun-aligned rulers strongly resemble what archaeologists believe about Cahokia. Architectural influence. Cahokia's mounds influence modern earthwork art, indigenous architecture, and even city planning concepts. Its urban layout shows that North America had complex cities long before European arrival. Historical legacy. Cahokia forces us to challenge the myth that pre-Columbian North America was empty or primitive. It shows us a world of innovation, diplomacy, engineering, astronomy, and spiritual depth. A world erased from most textbooks. Scientific legacy. Today, Cahokia is part of a global conversation about lost cities, climate adaptability, and human resilience. Researchers study its rise and fall to understand how civilizations grow and how they collapse. In many ways, Cahokia is a mirror, a reminder that no civilization, no matter how powerful, is immune to environmental pressure, political tension, or social change. And perhaps the most beautiful part? The mounds still stand. Silent, majestic, waiting, a living memory of the ancient American city that once dwarfed medieval London, and continues to challenge everything we think we know about history.